What am I going to do? I'm late for a party yet again. Wait, that doesn't sound like me. I don't like interacting with people. I can probably put this party off yet again, I mean. This is supposed to be for my 10th birthday. It's been over 20 years now. Think I could put it off for another 5 or 10 years. Hey everyone, how's it going? Total Level here, as today I want to talk about my late starts getting into a long-running JRPG series. Now, there are many series that I entered during the 4th or 5th game of one in different genres, but I feel that with JRPGs, I tend to not start many of these games until much later, or some of them are still in my backlog today. And it makes sense. Growing up in the 90s, I didn't have too many friends that were into JRPGs, myself included. Not until I was around 10 years old or so is when I got hooked on them. I did play a few beforehand, like say Pokemon or Zelda, but still wasn't big on the genre for quite a while. And so I didn't know about many series growing up, and of course, internet wasn't really a thing back then, so you couldn't look games up and find out more about them, right? So for today, I picked out 8 JRPGs that I started at a late point in a series entry. Plus, with 8, I get to rhyme a bit in my title by saying 8 late. Anyways, let me know in the comments down below which JRPGs you had your own late start with. I would love to know. And with that, let's begin. And so to start with, we'll start with one where I entered pretty early in the series, Star Ocean till the end of time. My favorite in the series and what got me hooked on Star Ocean, as what I really liked about this game was it was just completely different from other JRPGs I played at this time, because there were other ones that had sci-fi elements, starting with Final Fantasy VII, we were seeing more of those sci-fi elements coming into play, right? But yeah, this was just very unique to me, and I loved the just different type of stuff you could do of inventing new items and crafting and figuring out which party members kind of work best together of crafting certain items and everything like that. Now, Star Ocean games, they're a completionist nightmare. Like, if you want 100% these games, good luck, because boy oh boy, is it just a pain. Like, these are games that, I like doing as much as I can in games. I do like doing that, but for Star Ocean, definitely not. But yeah, I just really like the combat, because at this time too, I was mostly playing kind of, turn-based stuff and everything like that. Having this kind of action combat style was cool. Can't even remember how we got this game. I know it was kind of like a blind buy, just because it had Square Enix on the cover, right? So that's kind of why we got it. But yeah, I know we didn't know anything about this series for my family and everything, but it was just a really cool experience, and yeah, one of those just entries that ended up being a complete blind buy. Now, I don't have the original N64 version of this, but I do have the 3DS and Japanese N64 version of this game. But yeah, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time now. I am cheating a little bit with this one, because my first Zelda experience was A Link to the Past on Super Nintendo, but because we didn't have it in my household, it was a friend that I played it at. I only played about 10-20 minutes, so I figured wasn't really much to dive into this, right? It was Ocarina of Time that really got me into Zelda, hooked on Zelda, and wanted every type of Zelda experience, right? As this was my favorite game of all time for the longest time, until later on a different entry that's going to be in this video came along. But yeah, just a remarkable game, and one of those ones where I remember it was kind of the first time as a kid kind of overcoming certain fears of mine and everything, because, you know, as a kid, I was a scaredy cat. I really was. I was scared of pretty much anything and everything, you know, anything that just kind of chased me or whatever, right? And so this game really helped with that, because there's quite a few creepy little enemies in, you know, these N64 titles of Zelda, right? Like Majora's Mask takes it to a whole nother level, but yeah, it just kind of overcame that. The music is fantastic. It was kind of my first time experiencing kind of big plot twists, because there's quite a few in this game, right? And yeah, I understand, you know, people not everyone likes the N64 Zeldas, not everyone likes Ocarina of Time, but for me, man, it's still probably my second favorite game of all time. And another one, I'm going to cheat a little bit here with Tales of Vesperia, because again, my first experience with Tales was Symphonia on GameCube, but once again, I didn't have it. I played a tiny bit at a friend's house, so again, I didn't really think that exactly counted as my start to the Tales of series, but man, I love this game, and yeah, it was a great entry point. It's a big reason why this is still my favorite Tales game out there, though. Have to say, the last 10% of this game, because, you know, I did get, obviously, the definitive edition, and when I played through it, really enjoyed so much of it. Again, it was bringing back those memories. Loved the, you know, new additions to this version that was originally part of the PlayStation 3 version of this game, but we never got that here. We only got the 360 version for a long time, right? And so yeah, it was just remembering all those moments, but yeah, the last 10% of this game was very tedious and just draggy, right? But so much great humor, amazing characters, and yeah, it was just a great entry point. It was also, I want to say, the first Tales game to really kind of be more of an open world. Like, it was still super linear, but you had more of a world to kind of explore. Like, Symphonia sort of did that, but I felt like Vesperia really just kind of did a whole overworld kind of thing, right? Like, just did really well, and yeah, it's just amazing entry, and it's too bad what Bandai has been doing with the Tales series lately, what they've been doing with their video games lately, because, man, like, Tales games are so fun, and yeah, I don't know what's going on with them, but Tales of Vesperia just still probably my favorite in the whole series. Next, we have my first entry in the E series, Memories of Celceta. So while Ys 8 was the one that got me hooked on the whole E series, Memories of Celceta was actually the first one I played, originally played on the Vita, and this one I'm not cheating on, I'm including it because I did play a good few hours on the Vita version, and I remember not really enjoying myself too much. I was enjoying it at the beginning and then kind of got bored a few hours in, right? And yeah, until I played Ys 8, which is such a phenomenal game. I wanted to play all these other Ys ones. I saw the PS4 version of this remaster and got it, and I'm glad I did, because playing this game again, you know, for the second time was just such a fun experience. I really loved this game, really loved this entry, right? As it's just pure fun. Like, you know, it's not super deep, it's not super complicated, it's just, you know, a pure fun action experience, right? As it's just funny to think how much I was just kind of like, you know, thinking, oh, this is whatever game, playing it on the Vita, but it's playing this remaster, which, yeah, this Ys game is Ys 4 in, like, the Ys canon timeline, right? Because the original Ys 4 got outsourced or something, so now this is the official Ys 4. It's kind of confusing, I know, but yeah, it's just a solid entry with, you know, fun little characters, great music as always with these Ys games, and just a comfort game. It's a very just nice, chill, fun game to pick up and play whenever, you know, play for 5 minutes, play for 2 hours straight or more, right? It's just nice little entry in the whole Ys series. And might as well talk about another Falcom series, Trails of Cold Steel. So the whole Legend of Heroes things, and then, you know, the Trails series and all that. Yeah, it took me a long time before I really dove into this. Now, technically, my first entry in the whole, you know, Legend of Heroes series would have been actually back on the NES with Legacy of the Wizards, because that was known as Dragon Slayer 4 in Japan, and Dragon Slayer was the original Legend of Heroes, but because this is like the Trails sub-series, I thought, we'll just put it all together of this. I don't want to go into too many technicalities, plus I want to kind of focus on games I at least played and beat once. Legacy of the Wizard I liked, I remember enjoying. I have it on NES, but I still haven't beat it. I suck at so many NES titles, but yeah, what can I say that hasn't been said already, that I said many times about the Trail series, about Cold Steel? It's a phenomenal series. Now, will say, you know, it's one of the most frustrating ones, kind of like with Star Ocean, to try and 100% complete, right? Because a lot of the times you have to do New Game Plus to unlock everything, to get character profiles and things like that, and yeah, never been a big fan of things like that, right? Because with these games, you pretty much want a walkthrough to get all the great items and everything, you know, especially if you do plan on doing New Game Plus's game, like everyone's kind of, you know, Bond ending type of thing, right? But yeah, either way though, it's just such a phenomenal series, phenomenal characters and music, and this insane kind of storyline where so many things are happening to all these characters in different places, kind of all at the same time, or, you know, might be like 1 or 2 years later from a previous game, stuff like that, and it's just really, really cool. Like, I haven't played a series that's done something like this, you know. Like, Ys does it too with Adol and his kind of adventures and the timelines for that, but for these ones where everything's all intertwined together, it's just a really cool experience. And yeah, I can't say enough great things about the Trail series. It's one of my favorite franchises ever. Now we move on to my first entry in the Dragon Quest series with Dragon Quest VIII. Love, love, love this game, and I probably couldn't pick a better Dragon Quest to start with besides maybe 11, right? It is just a phenomenal game, and it has a basic story. You know, the king and the princess have been cursed by this dual magus. You're trying to track him down, and yeah, it's just, you know, one of those, like, Dragon Quest, we all know, has those cliches, has a lot of grinding, you know, things like that, but man, it's just so fun, so charming. And the great thing that I find with Dragon Quest is just how easy they are to pick up and play, how easy it is to just, you know, grind for a few hours, or if you want to progress through the story, if you want to try and find certain collectibles, you know, there's so much to always do in these games, and they have such a way to ease players into playing them, right? Because you're not playing these games with, you know, high attack stats, high HP stats or anything, you know, you're doing very little damage. Even when you max everything out, you're still not going to do what you see in so many JRPGs of doing like 100,000 damage, right? And yeah, it's just, you know, of course having Akira's art style is just always pleasing to look at, and love how Level 5, you know, co-developed this game, one of my favorite developers ever, and they did a phenomenal job. All the cell shading is excellent, it holds up really well whether you play the original PS2 game or you play the 3DS version. It's just a phenomenal experience, and I still debate if this or 11 is my favorite in the entry, but I sort of give the edge to 8 just because it was my first game in the series. It got me hooked on Dragon Quest, so yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with either one, and there's still many more that I have to check out. And yeah, looking forward to the remakes of 1, 2, and 3 later this year, right? So yeah, really amazing stuff. Now, on to my favorite game of all time, Persona 4 Golden. So, what more can I say about this game that I haven't already praised on my channel many times before? Anyone who's watched me for a while knows about my mental health struggles and dealing with severe levels of depression, anxiety, you know, being autistic, having ADHD, right? Everything like that. It's a lot to deal with, right? And Persona 4 Golden on the Vita, when I first got my Vita, I had a friend on the Wii U. Anyone remember Wii U? But just remember asking him, because he was one of the only people I knew that had a Vita at the time, which game should I get when I get my Vita, because I did want to get one, and one game he always said was Persona 4 Golden, and I thank him every day because this game got me through some of the toughest parts of my life. Like, you know, so much of it was relatable with the whole just everyone dealing with their inner shadow, their inner thoughts that they don't want the world to see, right? And, you know, despite its dark theme of, you know, catching this serial killer, like, there's a ton of humor in this game, amazing music, and usually I'm not big on this type of music myself, but it was a lot of fun to listen to. One of the greatest cast of characters I've ever seen in video games, and yeah, I think the only character I couldn't really relate to was Naruto, but everyone else, like, the, you know, not 100% exactly of what each character went through, but, you know, even just a little bit of, I understand that of, yeah, it's just really cool experience, and yeah, it's a game that I love playing every now and then just to make myself feel better, to give myself hope, right? Because there's definitely times where, you know, and I kind of accept this too, that there's just going to be times like one day I'm just going to feel very low for that day or for a few days, right? And then I'll pick myself back up, and this game is usually one of my go-tos to play because of just how much I love it and how much it helps me get through those dark times. And then the final game, which I don't have the original on PS1, so I'll show the box art of the remake on PS5, but Final Fantasy VII. So this was the game that got me hooked completely on JRPGs, and it's why I wanted to save it for last, because yeah, starting late, and just remember when first playing this game and just like Final Fantasy VII, like there were 7 of these? How did I not hear about this series at all, right? I felt that way with Dragon Quest VIII and so many of these other ones with Persona of like, oh, Persona 4, wow, there can't be that many, and then finding out like, oh, it's a spin-off of a really long series, right? And for Final Fantasy VII, man, just it was an experience, and playing the remake brought up a lot of those same emotions again, just seeing everything being redone, right? Because, man, this original game, while, yes, very, very rough to look at and quite rough at times to play in certain areas and everything, is still just a remarkable experience for me to go back to and play every now and then, and kind of miss sort of simple games like this where you get to name all your characters and decide kind of what material you want to use and everything like that. It's just really fun experience. Despite all the translation errors, they couldn't even get Aerith's name right in this one, right? But of course, our PS1 version was much better than the Japanese one because they added a bunch of content and patched it right before we got our version. So yeah, it's just funny to think about things like that, but man, just it's an experience, again, a lot of dark twists. It's a very dark Final Fantasy game, but man, it's just remarkable soundtrack, like one of the best, if not the best soundtracks of any video game in history. And yeah, I'm glad this was the game that got me hooked on JRPGs, because it's awesome. And so I hope you enjoyed my look back at 8 JRPGs that I had late starts with in these long-running series. And like I said, let me know in the comments down below which ones you had late starts with, your experiences with them. Would love to hear your thoughts about these games yourself, as it's just fun to think about and look at, because on my list, besides Tales of Vesperia and Zelda Ocarina of Time, the rest of the games that I mentioned, I haven't heard of at all, right? And now, we have all this information at the ready. We have a bunch of friends who can give us recommendations, everything like that, because they experienced things as a kids that now we can talk about, because we have all this access to communicate with each other, right? And it's just fun to think about that. Even if we still have late starts with certain old JRPGs, we at least know about them now and may have seen a bit of gameplay to just see if we want to even take the time to play a certain series, right? So yeah, it's just, this is kind of why I want to look back at this. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time, everyone. Thanks. Have a great rest of your day. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to see more. Hit the notification bell to be notified of any upcoming videos. Also, follow me on Twitter at TotalLevelYT, along with Twitch, also at TotalLevelYT. Or maybe you only stayed for any skits I put in my video. In that case, please stay anyways. I'm so lonely. Alright, take care and have a great rest of your day, everyone.